The war ends because neither side can remove the other at acceptable cost. British forces cannot destroy inland settlements without permanent occupation of terrain they cannot supply or patrol. Maroon communities cannot secure food and population growth while remaining fully mobile and under constant pursuit. The conflict produces no decisive territorial outcome. It produces exhaustion and calculation. The treaty is not designed to unify the island. It is designed to stabilize it. British authorities seek to stop flight and raids without maintaining continuous military operations. Maroon leaders seek recognition of land and an end to pursuit without returning to plantation control. Peace is constructed as a management system for movement, labor, and violence. Authority is not resolved. It is redistributed. The treaty fixes what war could not. Maroon towns are assigned defined inland zones rather than shifting across forest and ridge networks. These locations are chosen where food can be grown and access can be controlled. Fixed settlement reduces the need for constant movement and lowers exposure to patrols. For colonial administrators, boundaries simplify surveillance. Instead of chasing scattered groups, officials can monitor known locations and known leaders. Roads are not built into the interior. The terrain remains difficult, but the problem changes from pursuit to supervision. Geography therefore shifts role. It no longer serves mainly as refuge. It becomes a buffer space separating plantations from maroon settlements while limiting uncontrolled movement between them. Plantations require predictable labor supply and reduced flight. The treaty directly targets this problem by obligating maroon communities to return future escapees. This does not eliminate flight, but it reduces the chance that escape leads to permanent removal from the plantation system. Planters no longer pay continuously for large-scale military campaigns. Instead, they rely on maroon patrols to limit inland refuge. The cost of enforcement shifts from imperial troops to treaty communities. Stability replaces recovery as the main objective. For maroon settlements, the treaty allows fixed agriculture. Gardens expand into permanent fields. Hunting and raiding decline as primary food sources. Population growth becomes possible because storage and planting replace constant movement. Economic survival moves from evasion to production. Peace therefore alters labor flows. Enslaved labor remains on plantations. Free labor becomes concentrated in treaty towns. The two systems are separated rather than merged. Wartime organization is based on mobility, secrecy, and rapid response. Post-war organization shifts toward permanence. Leadership becomes responsible for land allocation, crop management, and relations with colonial officials. Authority stabilizes around those who manage territory rather than those who manage escape routes. Population increases through birth rather than arrival. Knowledge shifts from patrol evasion to farming cycles and boundary maintenance. Children grow up within defined settlements rather than in temporary camps. Social cohesion is now tied to compliance with treaty obligations. Leaders must prevent unauthorized movement and regulate contact with plantations. Internal discipline replaces external pursuit as the main control mechanism. Survival depends on maintaining recognized status rather than avoiding detection. The treaty defines maroon communities as distinct but subordinate. They govern daily life but do not control foreign policy, war, or the movement of enslaved people. They hold land but do not hold sovereignty. In exchange for recognition, they become part of the plantation security system. Their role is to limit the growth of inland refuge by capturing new runaways and assisting colonial authorities during uprisings. This integrates them into enforcement without integrating them into plantation society. Control becomes indirect. British officials do not occupy maroon towns. They regulate them through obligations, gifts, and periodic inspection. Maroon leaders enforce rules internally to avoid renewed war. Violence is no longer continuous, but it remains organized and conditional. The treaty produces stability but not harmony. Obligations to capture escapees place maroon communities against enslaved populations and create long-term strain. Cooperation with colonial forces damages relations with nearby estates and neighboring slaves. Over decades, land pressure increases as populations grow within fixed boundaries. Farming replaces mobility but reduces flexibility. Younger members inherit treaty obligations without having experienced the war that produced them. Incentives weaken while duties remain. British administrators increase expectations without expanding support. They demand enforcement but do not provide additional land or resources. Each failure to return runaways is interpreted as disobedience. Suspicion replaces trust. The system survives because neither side benefits from immediate rupture. But compliance becomes costly. Tension accumulates inside an arrangement built to contain conflict rather than resolve it. The treaty transforms war into regulation. British authority accepts limits on territorial control in exchange for labor stability. Maroon communities secure land and survival in exchange for constrained autonomy and enforced collaboration. Peace functions as a control device, not as integration. For roughly 60 years, Jamaica operates with this divided structure intact. Plantations dominate the coast. Treaty towns hold the interior margins, and movement between them is managed rather than free. The arrangement reduces open fighting while preserving the forces that produced it. The system holds because it distributes cost rather than eliminating it. Planters avoid permanent war. Maroons avoid renewed pursuit. Both accept restriction. Stability is achieved through balance, not reconciliation.